I'm going to say this really quickly and I'm going to say it once. Marketing a book using tropes is not inherently anti-intellectual. And I'm saying that as someone who gets incredibly frustrated when all I can find out about a book is the main tropes that are in it. Like, a really good example of this is Gideon the Ninth and how it was marketed most of the time. Like, everyone just talked about the tropes or the fact that it was like lesbians in space, and I was like, okay, but what happens? Like, what is the book about? That being said, you'll notice that I still use like book maps like this for my book, and I use tropes to tell people what's going on in my book, because tropes aren't inherently a bad way to market a book. And that's something that honestly kind of bothers me in this entire conversation, is like what the person, like the original creator, who I'm not gonna like stitch or anything, but like the original conversation started with this idea that tropes and focusing on tropes is inherently anti-intellectual, when it's like, you aren't actually judging the book, you're judging the marketing of that book. Someone who has been struggling to make videos that TikTok actually wants to put on their FYP, marketing a book right now is really complex. You have to be really, really quick and really, really fast, and you need to get across what's going on in that book so that people might be interested and might pick it up. And that's the thing, even when you're talking about people who are getting on Book Talk and they're making recommendations and they're primarily using tropes to do so, that's not the same thing as a review. Recs are an extension of book marketing. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of book talkers, like big book talkers, will work with authors to make those kind of recommendation videos to their audiences, because it is inherently marketing. And like, it's marketing for that influencer as well as it is marketing for the authors. Because a lot of times when people follow a book talk influencer here in the space, they're following someone that they know and trust to give them recommendations of books they might like. There is an entire conversation to be had here about accessibility and anti-intellectualism. There's a huge difference between a book being accessible and a book being anti-intellectual. Get into that right now. That's a whole other conversation. So yeah, I find this conversation very, very strange and kind of silly, honestly. I feel like it's someone who is conflating the marketing of a book with engaging with a book, which are two entirely separate things.